What if a building could twist like a corkscrew while hovering a sky pool 600 feet above the ground? These 1,000-foot helix towers spiral a mind-bending 720 degrees, that's 2 full rotations, as they pierce the clouds. Each 360-degree sky pool holds 1.2 million gallons, enough water for 20 Olympic-sized swimming pools. Units start at $20 million, featuring floor-to-ceiling windows that follow the building's 45-degree tilt. But here's the real shocker. The entire structure balances on a single 120-foot-tall concrete core, thinner than a human hair relative to the building's height. How does this architectural marvel stay upright? Engineers call it the most daring balance act in modern construction. What if your home hovered 12 feet above Lake Como, with no anchors, no ropes, just magic? These villas use magnetic levitation. Superconductors cooled to minus 320 degrees Fahrenheit repel 5-ton magnets beneath the home, creating frictionless hover. Each 10,000-square-foot mansion has 5 bedrooms, a helipad, and zero physical contact with the water below. They use 40% less energy than traditional floats. No engines, just silent, stable levitation. Here's the twist. The tech was adapted from maglev trains, but engineers had to stabilize a champagne bar at 3,000 feet elevation. Next time you sip Prosecco on Lake Como, ask yourself, is that villa floating or flying? What if your home could blend into the earth and sky at once? These 30-foot underground villas are hidden in plain sight, encased in 2-inch thick glass. Each 1,200-square-foot treehouse offers 270-degree views of the jungle from below ground level. 500 tons of reinforced concrete protect these homes from earthquakes and tropical storms. The glass can stop a 500-pound boulder, yet disappears into the jungle view. How do you live in a house that's both hidden and completely open to the wild? What if a palace could vanish into a desert mirage? This Saharan marvel does exactly that. 2,500 precision-aligned mirrors reflect 98% of blazing sunlight, creating an optical illusion that makes the $85 million structure appear weightless. Inside, the temperature plummets to a cool 40 to 131 degrees Fahrenheit hotter than the desert outside, without a single air conditioner. Each of its 12,000 custom-engineered glass tiles was hand-placed to create this impossible effect. From 300 feet away, it looks like a real oasis, complete with shimmering water. But there's not a drop to be found. Is it architecture or sorcery? What if your home could transform from transparent to private in seconds? This luxury retreat uses 600-plus interlocking triangles to form a structure stronger than traditional walls. Its 1.5 acres of smart glass shift from clear to opaque in just 10 seconds with a voice command. The dome's aerodynamic shape slashes energy use by 40% compared to standard homes. Here's the twist. This design was inspired by a 1960s NASA experiment for lunar habitats. Who knew moon-based tech could bring us Earth's most dramatic home of the future? What if a skyscraper could breathe like a forest? In Milan, 2 towers are redefining urban living. These vertical ecosystems house 900 trees and 20,000 plants, equivalent to an entire forest stacked 110 meters high. They absorb 30 tons of CO2 yearly. That's like offsetting emissions from 2,500 cars. Every day, these towers produce enough oxygen to sustain 1,200 people, while cooling the city by 5 degrees Celsius. This isn't just architecture, it's a revolution. What if cities could heal the planet instead of harming it? The future of urban living might just be growing out of concrete. Imagine waking up suspended 300 feet above the ocean, with no walls between you and the wild Atlantic. These 40-foot diameter domes are built on volcanic rock in Brazil's Fernando de Noronha archipelago, a place where luxury meets extreme engineering. Every floor and wall is 1.5 inches of tempered glass, strong enough to hold back 22,000 pounds per square inch of pressure. Only 12 of these architectural marvels exist worldwide, each one a private sanctuary with 360 degrees views of endless ocean. The glass can survive a 747 airplane crash, though nothing prepares it for Brazil's roaring Atlantic storms. Would you sleep in a house with no walls, just glass and the roar of the ocean? Imagine waking up 3,000 feet above the Swiss Alps, suspended in a transparent pod that hugs the mountainside. Each pod hangs from cables thinner than a pencil, yet they hold 4-ton, 5-inch thick glass walls. 12 of these $2 million pods hover 1,200 feet above the Aletsch Glacier, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Even in 100 miles per hour winds, the pods sway just 6 inches, an engineering marvel they call controlled dance. Would you sleep in a 4-ton bubble, 3,000 feet up? The Alps won't ask twice. What if your bedroom was 16 feet underwater, surrounded by 2,000 plus swimming fish? In the Maldives, the Maraca Villa sits 5 meters below sea level with a 270-degree ocean view. Its 15-inch thick acrylic dome withstands over 1,000 pounds per square inch of pressure. A $2 million per night stay costs more than a Boeing 737's hourly flight rate. But here's what really shocks: the glass floor could hold up a car without cracking. Would you sleep here knowing the ocean is literally holding you up? What if your home grew like a living treehouse, 200 feet above the ocean? These cliffside marvels fuse over 10,000 living bamboo poles into load-bearing architecture. Suspended 200 feet above the Indian Ocean, they use 90% less concrete than luxury resorts. Built in just 6 months, half the time of traditional cliffside construction. Here's the mind-blowing part: the bamboo stays alive for 5 years, adapting as the cliff shifts. Imagine waking up in a home that's still growing. What if the driest place on Earth hid a secret garden in the sky? The Atacama Desert gets less than 1 millimeter of rain per year. Some areas haven't seen rain in 500 years. At 2,500 meters altitude, these futuristic biodomes bloom with 12 acres of forest orchards and waterfalls, defying one of Earth's harshest climates. These luxury homes use 70% less energy than traditional desert architecture through closed-loop ecosystems that recycle air, water, and nutrients. But the real magic? These domes don't just survive, they create their own weather, generating artificial rain and fog to sustain indoor agriculture. Imagine engineering a microclimate where life thrives in absolute death. These domes aren't just homes, they're entire worlds rebelling against nature's rules. And scientists still can't fully explain how they mimic Earth's weather patterns. What if your daily commute was a walk through a rainforest at 1,000 feet? These 300-meter skybridges link 200-meter-tall luxury towers, creating vertical ecosystems with over 1,000 plant species. The living gardens cut building cooling costs by 25% through natural insulation. In high winds, the bridges sway up to 50 centimeters to mimic natural tree movement. But here's what's truly genius: their mesh ceilings collect rainwater, which trickles down to irrigate plants and cool the air below. These bridges don't just connect buildings, they create entire ecosystems in the sky. Imagine sleeping 1,000 feet above the Grand Canyon floor, suspended in a transparent dome that feels like it's floating on air. These luxury villas use 3-inch thick bulletproof glass, strong enough to withstand a hurricane, to create seamless 270-degree views of the canyon. Each 4,000 square foot villa costs $50 million to build, with no visible support pillars, just pure, unbroken glass meeting the sky. But here's what they're not telling you: those glass panels weigh up to 2 tons each, equivalent to a compact car, yet they vanish into the landscape. Engineers had to invent new bonding techniques to make these behemoths disappear, proving nature and human genius can collide, literally. What if your home vanished into thin air when you opened the door? These $30 million plus villas use 2 cm thick ultra-clear glass panels that disappear from 300 meters away. Only 5 exist worldwide, each requiring 10 tons of wind-resistant glass to survive 120 km/h gales. Guests often forget they're indoors during sunset, when the glass mimics polarized water reflections. Nature and architecture collide in this $30 million illusion, and the view's always one way. What if your home had a 360 degrees view of the northern lights from underground? These 10-meter domes use 18 mm thick transparent polycarbonate, the same material as spacecraft windows, to create unbreakable, light-bending bubbles underground. At 15 feet below ground, residents ride geothermal heating that slashes energy costs by 70%, while staying toasty at -20 degrees Fahrenheit. 360 degrees panoramic windows filter UV rays but let in 92% natural light, making midnight sunrises feel like they're happening all around you. These domes can withstand 1,200 psi pressure from volcanic activity, that's 60 times the force of a hurricane. Would you trade sky for subterranean stargazing in this alien-like refuge?